What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me today on the podcast. It is Friday, August 16th, 2019. This is episode 287 right here on Off the Script. We have a lot to go over today. Normally on Friday, I sit down, I have a nice cup of coffee in the morning, and I type up what I want to talk about. But being that August has been so big and so busy, and it's full of wrestling events all over the month, we had TakeOver, we had the G1, we had SummerSlam, we have NXT UK TakeOver in Cardiff, we have All Out in Chicago yet to come. There really isn't much as far as big exclusive stories going on, especially coming out of SummerSlam, which is rather bizarre, but that does not mean that August has not been busy. We're going to go over everything coming out of SummerSlam and going into Monday Night Raw, some of which includes Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is in the news. Bray Wyatt is on everybody's mind. His debut at SummerSlam was unbelievable. It was very Undertaker-esque. People are already comparing him and his debut at SummerSlam to the debut of The Undertaker all those many, many, many years ago, back at Survivor Series when we first seen the debut of The Undertaker with Brother Love. A lot of stuff going on with Bray Wyatt. His lantern was not going to be a part of the act. Then WWE came out and said that the lantern will be a part of the act. I got news on the lantern, where it's going to be, how it's going to be a big focal point for Bray Wyatt. Also, people are already criticizing WWE for Bray Wyatt and the religious overtones, I would say, that are kind of creeping into the satanic territory. There were people on social media this week as well, blasting WWE about the religious mocking of the Bray Wyatt character. We're going to go into that as well. And the most shocking thing of all, really, out of all these Bray Wyatt stories, is that WWE doesn't want to overexpose Bray Wyatt, and they want to keep the Bray Wyatt Fiend character, and Bray Wyatt overall, special. Who would have thought, folks, WWE actually has developed some sort of common sense and logic. Where it came from, I don't know, nor do I care, because we all know that is the right decision to make. We're going to go over all that today right here on the podcast. Also, an exclusive story, which is very laughable, but at the same time, I am not surprised by it whatsoever, because the AEW effect is real, folks. If you don't believe in it, you better start believing in it. Dolph Ziggler and Vince McMahon had a handshake agreement as far as what is to come for Dolph Ziggler. Apparently, Vince McMahon went back on Dolph Ziggler's handshake agreement, and he is not living up to the promises made to one Dolph Ziggler. We're going to go over all that and what that actually means in an exclusive story reported this week by Bodyslam.net, so you don't want to miss that. And Seth Rollins, our favorite Universal Champ, what is his plans at Clash of Champions? After this podcast, folks, you're not going to love Seth Rollins anymore than you already do. In fact, you might turn the other way and run away from our champ on Monday Night Raw in Seth Rollins, because the opponent that WWE has lined up for him absolutely does nothing in the interest department. All this plus so much more right here on the podcast, guys. It's been a busy month. I'm sick still. I might not sound it, but I'm sweating my ass off already. I don't know if I have a fever, but the cough has kind of subsided. I hope it stays away for the remainder of the hour here on the podcast, because I don't want to cough at all. Woke up with mucus, watery eyes, and stuffy nose. I've been doing everything I can to get better. Mucinex, hot tea, honey. I bought these drops called Cold Ease. They're delicious, by the way. They are so good, but you can't have a lot of them because there's zinc in them. So I've been monitoring my intake on that. I've been doing everything, man. Vitamin C. No, I'm not really going out there and pushing myself too hard. I've been taking it easy, but I hope I get better. I really do, because when I do what I do and my voice is my most powerful asset, it's tough to sit here and do a podcast all weekend for about 4 hours. So it's rather difficult, so bear with me. We're going to try and get through this. So we had that. The House of Glory show, man. I want to talk about this for a little bit. The House of Glory show on Friday last week. I did not get to talk about it because I actually had recorded all of Off the Script that weekend before Friday. What an unbelievable moment it was for me to be sitting next to Solid Monster Jason, and we just called the last Young Bucks independent match before they go on to AEW. It was the last House of Glory match for Private Party. It was unbelievable, man. My voice was shot before the match because the event was just so great from top to bottom. We are definitely going in a new direction. It was felt that night. We're going for more NXT TakeOver vibe with the 6 matches. We're giving you quality over quantity. And with the brainchild, with Bryan XL and everything else, and everything that he's doing with House of Glory, and all the ideas that he's got, and our team that he has put together, man, I am so hopeful for the future. And everything that he's doing and everything that we are doing collectively as a team is going to be so great. It's so exciting to be a part of, man. But that show was kick-ass. If you guys watched it on Fight TV, thank you guys for all the overwhelming support, not only for me, but for House of Glory, more importantly. It was unbelievable, a moment that I will never forget. And I actually had the balls to go up to Matt and Nick Jackson before the crowd was let into the arena. They got there. They were already filming for Being the Elite. And they went up to the bar because they went to go get a couple of bottles of water. And I knew that they were going to be busy with the meet and greet and then filming for Being the Elite. And I went up to them and I said, hey guys, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jerry. I am the play-by-play commentator for House of Glory. Is there anything that you guys want me to put over on commentary, whether it be AEW-wise or the match with Private Party? Anything you guys specifically want me to go over on commentary tonight during your match? And they looked at each other and they laughed, and they were like, maybe we should get together with the Private Party guys because we haven't talked about a goddamn thing yet. So I laughed, and I thought that was funny, and I knew they were going to have a great match anyway because both teams are just so great at what they do. And then I asked if there was anything new that I should look out for because I want to make sure that I know it's coming or I know what to call it if it was going to be something new. And they said, no, just the regular Young Buck stuff that you are, usually there watching, when we're in the ring. So it's like, whatever, man. Yeah, it's great. Awesome. And they were super nice. And it was just a real great experience just to see them live in person and not only get to chat with them for about 45 seconds, but then to sit on commentary and call their final match, man. It was unbelievable. And like I said, a night that I will not forget. And we're only going to use this as a building block for what is to come, man. October, we got Marty Scurll. October, we got the Lucha Brothers defending the House of Glory Tag Team titles. Adam Hangman Page flew in specifically to New York for this show to make a special guest appearance at the end, which I'm sure you guys seen on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel. It was crazy. I did not know that was happening. Everything that you heard as far as commentary was genuine. I didn't have anything to do with that at all. And it was just a feel-good moment, and the crowd went absolutely crazy. I could not even hear myself through most of the show. Never mind that moment with Hangman Page. I could not hear myself whatsoever all night. The crowd was rocking and rolling all night. It had to be at least 2,500 people in there. That place was packed to the walls. Couldn't hear myself, couldn't hear Jason sitting next to me, and then I got sick. After the show was over, I had a couple of cold brews, and we hung out, and after that, I'm like, okay, now let's get my voice ready for the SummerSlam weekend, and then I got sick. But being sick, man, that's just a little negative on what was an overwhelmingly positive weekend, man. So thank you guys so much for all your support. It was really, really heartwarming to see all the support, not only for me, but for House of Glory. So I can't wait for October. I finally got a chance to sit down with the new Slipknot album, and I've seen a lot of people, and I was excited about it because I've been listening to Slipknot since their debut. And a funny story is, I don't know if I ever told this story on the podcast. I remember when I was just getting into that genre of music, I was trying to fit in high school, and I used to take my little Walkman on the cheese bus, and I used to get picked up a couple blocks from my mom's house, and we used to go. I went to Mount St. Michael High School in the Bronx, and my music was so loud in the morning that people could hear it through my headphones. And the kids on the bus, I hated every single one of them because they were these bullies, they were jocks, and they thought who they were. They thought they were the shit, right? So they're like typical, trying to sleep on the bus because they're slackers. Meanwhile, I was attentive, and I wanted to listen to my music, and I had my little juice. So every morning I'd play Soulfly and Fear Factory and Slipknot, Korn, Machine Head, right? Those were the bands that were big back in the day when I went to high school. And when I put my headphones on, you could literally hear all the music coming out of the headphones, and the bus was so quiet. It was very quiet in the morning. In the afternoon, it was a different story. So I annoyed everybody in the morning, and then, people would complain, and they would yell at me, and I'm like, fuck you. So I was waiting for this Slipknot album, because I've been listening to them since their debut. And when I was getting into that type of music, I remember my dad taking us to Tower Records, because my dad used to collect records, vinyl records. And I was just starting my CD collection. I didn't know who Slipknot was. I seen this album, brand new. It was like on a shelf by itself, which was surprising because that type of music isn't really promoted like that. And I picked it up and I seen it and I looked at the back and the track list and I looked at the album cover specifically. And I'm like, what is this? It's under the heavy metal genre. It's 9 guys dressed in clown costumes. This got to be crazy. It's got to be good. So I took it home. And I listened to it. I go down to my mom's basement. My brother was sitting on the couch. Put it in the CD player. The first track comes on, and it's entitled Sick. And then the second track comes on, and it's Eyeless. You can't see California through Marlon Brando's eyes, And my dad comes down, and I'm listening to this shit. And he says to me, what the fuck are you listening to? I'm like, Dad, this is the album I bought today. I bought this today. I bought this when we were out. And I fell in love with it. So ever since then, I was not a big Slipknot guy. I was a big Slipknot guy back in the day, but then I grew into, becoming more of a power metal, progressive. That's my type of thing now. But I always keep an eye on those bands. Slipknot, Korn, Fear Factory. I always find, whatever Max Cavalera is doing because I was a big Sepultura guy. And Disaster Piece was on Iowa. Iowa came out, which was their second album, which was better than their first, in my honest opinion. Disaster Piece and People Equal Shit. Those are my tracks. Those are my Slipknot songs. So after that, I seen them kind of just go into the very commercial heavy route. Trying to get on K-Rock here in New York City, and it was just who are these guys? Like what happened? They got commercial. Corey Taylor went to Stone Sour. He tried to incorporate Stone Sour into Slipknot. So I'm like, if this album is anything like Stone Sour, I'm just not even going to listen to it. So I gave it a shot. Unsainted grew on me. I hated it at first listen because I'm like, this is Stone Sour type shit. And then it grew on me. And actually, NXT helped me fall in love with the song because seeing highlights of NXT over Unsainted kind of sealed the deal for me. But I listened to the album, and then I'm looking at people's opinions of the album on social media, and you can't listen to anybody on social media because everything nowadays is the best ever. People don't think before they write, oh, this is the best ever. Everything that's new has to be the best ever. Monday Night Raw was the best ever. SummerSlam was the best SummerSlam of all time. Why? Why do you go and do that? Why do you go and say that? Does everything new or everything up to date need to be the best ever because a new band released a new album or a band released a new album? It's got to be the best ever. Come on, man. How are you going to shit on their older work? They have not done anything since the debut or Iowa that has even come close to what they're doing now. It's ridiculous to even say that. So I'm an old school guy. And the same thing goes for anybody. Fear Factory. If you guys are big into Fear Factory, nothing. To me, Demanufacture and Obsolete are their best albums. I loved it, Mechanized was fucking awesome because it had just, to me, their best music, period. It was just a great album. And when I listen to the new Slipknot album and I'm hearing people's opinions, it's like, Jesus Christ, man, shut the fuck up. It's not their best album. By far, it's not their best album. Unsainted is great. Nero Forte is a really, really good song. It reminds me of Iowa like Slipknot. Red Flag is a great song. There's another one on there. I forgot the name of it. Shit, what the fuck is the name of it? Let me see. I got the track listing here because I've been listening to it. I wanted to try and remember it, but I can't remember all of it. Birth of the Cruel is great. The last track is great as well. It's a good album, but there's a lot of filler. Critical Darling is okay. Orphan is great. Orphan actually reminds me of the Heretic Anthem off of Iowa. But other than that, I mean, I would give it a solid, if you're asking me for an honest opinion, I would give it an honest 5.5 maybe. Maximum 6 out of 10. If you guys are asking me for my opinion on the new Slipknot album, it's not their best album. I wouldn't even rank it in the top 3, to be honest with you. That's just my honest opinion. So, it's been a good month. And as far as music goes, and I know I'm ranting here because this is my show, I can do whatever the hell I want. We got Dragon Force coming out. We got Alter Bridge coming out. I'm going to see Alter Bridge in September. It's going to be awesome, man. It's going to be a busy, it's been a busy year, man. I've been trying to put so much shit in my months just so that I don't go crazy. Because when I sit at home, all I do is play Destiny and I go crazy. There's nothing for me to do, you know. Everybody that I know is off doing their own thing. There's nothing for me to do. So August is busy with wrestling stuff. September's got Alter Bridge. October, we got that AEW debut, House of Glory's coming back to the NYC Arena, Comic-Con, SmackDown on Fox. It's gonna be a big month going into the fall, man. A lot to keep us busy. So if you guys wanted my thoughts on the new Slipknot album, there you go. I know there was a few people on the Patreon page and a few people on Twitter that were asking me for it. But those are my thoughts on that. And let me know what you guys think down below. Anyway, let's get into the wrestling stuff, man. You know what you have to do. All I'm going to do is shout this out right here. Social media, at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Thank you guys so much for getting the channel near 112,000 subscribers. And if you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, you guys can certainly do that. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. If you guys want to go and check out all the other videos that you might have missed this week, man, big week, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, you guys know the deal. They're all linked down below in the comment section. We're going to pin you at the very top. Also, if you guys want to check out my SummerSlam review and that particular video, thank you for over 52,000 views. Thank you for over 2,200 likes. You guys are awesome. And thank you to everybody that subscribed on from the SummerSlam video, man. So I appreciate all of you guys, and thank you so very much. Again, easy access. Everything you need is linked down below in the comments, and I will pin it for you at the very top. Let's get into the news, man. I want to start off with this Bray Wyatt stuff. We got a lot to go over as far as Bray Wyatt goes, and I want to talk about the inspiration for Bray Wyatt's lantern at SummerSlam. When I seen the intro to the Bray Wyatt character, when I seen the entrance, when I heard the theme music, which I was hoping it was going to be something similar to what they did, and they pulled it off beautifully. When I seen the lighting and the Fiend walk down the aisle, I seen the lantern. I did not know at first glance what the lantern was. I just thought it was a head with sewn shut eyes. And then people were telling me up and down the comments, JD, it's Bray Wyatt's old head. It's the old figure of Bray Wyatt. It's his old self. I didn't know that. I was just so mesmerized by what was going on that I didn't really piece it together. So you guys would have to excuse me on that. Some of you guys figured it out. I didn't until the very next day. I'm like, oh, now I could see these similarities between the Bray Wyatt and Fiend gimmick here. But there is an inspiration behind the lantern. It wasn't done for just coolness. It wasn't done just because it looks great. There's actually a reason why Bray Wyatt came out with his lantern, but a new lantern and his decapitated old self. Now, he came down with the lantern just like before, only this time you probably won't expect WWE to be selling this type of thing because I could see that being too creepy. You know, children might not want a decapitated head, or I should say parents of the children might not want their children carrying around a decapitated head, but why not? Why not? Now, it was Wyatt's own face with his eyes sewn shut to add that extra creepiness to the entire gimmick. Brad Shepard is reporting that Bray Wyatt's creepy lantern, shaped like his own decapitated and mutilated head, was inspired by Alice in Chains' Man in the Box, which is Tommy Dreamer's old ECW theme song. And I love old school Alice in Chains, man. Fucking awesome. According to a source, he says, Bray Wyatt's new severed head lantern prop was inspired by Alice in Chains' Man in the Box. Now, if you guys are asking, JD, how does Alice in Chains go with Bray Wyatt and The Fiend? Well, I got the lyrics for you. This is the lyrics for Man in the Box, or the lyrics that are pertinent here for the lantern. And I quote, "Feed my eyes, can you sew them shut? Jesus Christ, deny your maker. He who tries will be wasted. Feed my eyes, now you've sewn them shut." This prompted people in the community and people on social media to blast WWE because the Bray Wyatt Fiend character, though completely awesome, it was definitely out there as being satanic. And my brother even texted me, I mentioned this on the SummerSlam review. He's like, how is WWE going to get away with this? If I had children, or I could see children nowadays with these parents who are very sensitive to everything, just being genuinely afraid of what they seen here. This was the creepiest of what we've seen so far from Bray Wyatt. The Firefly Funhouse was a little on edge. They didn't go too far. They were mocking certain things here and there on the Firefly Funhouse. But when we seen the Fiend on the Firefly Funhouse, it was, wow, that's awesome. But when we seen him in action and just his movement and his body language and the overall package that made the entrance of the Fiend, it's something that I could genuinely see scaring little children watching this show, which predominantly WWE's aimed towards little children. That's no secret. So, a lot of people on social media were claiming that WWE is Satanist, that they're allowing this character to bash and mock religion. But why are they pinpointing Bray Wyatt in this case? WWE mocks religion all the time. WWE mocks Christianity and the church all the time. Just look at Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the beast incarnate. That's satanic in itself. They got the Beast Slayer, Seth Rollins, the Almighty, Bobby Lashley. That's a nickname that's mocking Christ. Christ is the Almighty. Look at Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins' ring gear sometimes. You know, they got symbolism there on Baron Corbin's wardrobe that is very satanic. They had Seth Rollins go out there wearing satanic pentagrams on his shirt. WWE's mocking religion all the time. Even with Billie Kay, she comes out with the horns. And they try and spawn it off as, Maleficent, which is going right back to the Satanism. You know? That's a satanic character, is Maleficent. So WWE's mocking religion all the time. Every which way they're mocking religion. This is nothing new. Bray Wyatt mocked religion on the Firefly Funhouse. Big pentagram showing up on the screen. They're mocking if the earth is fucking flat. You know? They literally threw it in your face that the earth is flat. Yeah, like that you go to school and you're taught the earth is round, and then he puts a big red X through the earth. Oh, it's the flat earth. Then they mock the existence of the dinosaurs. You guys remember that? You go to school and they teach you and they tell you that dinosaurs were real. Big X through the dinosaurs. They mock everything all the time. This is nothing new. Whatever they did here at SummerSlam was just what is to be expected from WWE. You know? So I don't know why everybody's getting bent out of shape over Bray Wyatt. Just enjoy it for what it is. You know, teach your kids that this is not what you want them to, learn or be influenced by. Just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy the moment. And to be honest with you, this Bray Wyatt character, sometimes it is aimed towards the little kids. It might be brainwashing on one end for the little kids, but this Fiend character is made for people like me and you. This Fiend character is made for people like me and you. We want that cool factor. This is exactly what he needed. He has everyone talking right now, and when they say someone hits a home run, this is not just a home run. This is a fucking grand slam, driving in everybody on base, winning the game in the bottom of the ninth. They saved this guy's career. Seriously. Bray Wyatt's career was saved by this gimmick and by this SummerSlam entrance. That was the only moment that WWE created at SummerSlam. And I couldn't be more happy with what was presented. Now, it's up to WWE to keep that special. Now, as far as his music goes, we didn't need anything like what we had with the old Bray Wyatt country gimmick. The Southern Wyatt. This was awesome. This was more of a take on a Slipknot. Bray Wyatt looks and dresses like he should be standing on stage next to Corey Taylor. his theme music was actually written not by the house band CFO that makes most of WWE's music, but the band Code Orange comprised the new song, and they are the same group that actually made Aleister Black's theme song as well, the same band that actually played Aleister Black live to the ring at TakeOver Brooklyn a couple of years ago. So this is awesome. And Bray Wyatt actively on social media praised Code Orange for their tune or mix-up or rework of his old theme, and they made it sound absolutely brilliant to fit the Bray Wyatt Fiend character, man. I loved it. Hurt, heel, that sludgy guitar riff. It goes great, man. It is so awesome. I can't even begin to tell you how great it is, man. Absolutely masterful was that entire entrance at SummerSlam. There's a big update on Bray Wyatt and the Lantern. I mentioned to you guys how WWE, I guess, kind of fell into fire with some of the people on social media about the overall gimmick and the Lantern and its creepiness and its, religious mocking. The interesting part of this entire thing is that WWE uploaded the entrance to YouTube, and then they took it down. There was a close-up of the Lantern in this entrance at SummerSlam. They uploaded the video to YouTube, and then they took it down. They uploaded it, and then an hour later, it was replaced with something else. WWE edited out Bray Wyatt's human head lantern for some reason. The original video that aired live on the network featured a very good close-up of the head, which you could see if you go back and watch SummerSlam. Now, WWE is keeping the lantern. There is no way that they are nixing the lantern here. And it was merely taken down because of a demonetization issue. Of course it was. And WWE is in no way, shape, or form deleting the lantern from Bray Wyatt's act. Bryan Alvarez mentioned on the Wrestling Observer Radio that the speculation that WWE might be altering Bray Wyatt's Fiend character by taking away his head lantern is false. Based on what Alvarez is hearing, there's good news to report, because if anything, it sounds like WWE is planning even more marketing for Bray Wyatt with the lantern as part of the deal. And if you guys can see on social media as of Thursday, Bray Wyatt was announced as a DLC character for WWE 2K20, and the featured art of Bray Wyatt that he posted on his official Twitter account was him with the lantern sitting in front of him. So the lantern is not going away, folks. So for anybody that is worried about the lantern being deleted because of these SJWs on social media, don't worry, it's not going anywhere. We will see the lantern next time we see Bray Wyatt at a WWE pay-per-view. He says this, and I quote, "All I can tell you is I've asked several people about this, and nobody heard anything about the lantern not being part of the act. In fact, one person told me it's going to be part of his act, and it's going to be part of his action figure whenever they get in line to producing the Fiend Mattel action figures. They will be including a lantern with the action figure." So anyway, I think everyone's reading too much into this. I mean, we'll know soon enough. If he shows up again with no lantern, we'll know, but I wouldn't be writing it off just yet. It was a demonetization issue by YouTube, and I'm not surprised by that whatsoever, so WWE pulled it, and they replaced it with something else, but the lantern is not going anywhere, so don't worry about them altering the gimmick. Speaking of the gimmick, everyone was complaining, where's Bray Wyatt on Monday? Where's Bray Wyatt on Tuesday? I want to see the Firefly Funhouse on Monday. I want to see the Fiend on Raw. I want to see him challenge Seth Rollins. Guys, patience. Patience is a virtue, please. Why would you want to see Bray Wyatt on Monday Night Raw after what he did to Finn Balor on Sunday night? He generated a lot of buzz. He got people talking. It is in everybody's mind that Bray Wyatt easily right now is the best thing in WWE. If there's one thing in WWE that could be pointed at as one of the negatives right now for the quality of the shows, what is it? I could easily tell you, outside the obvious of Raw being 3 hours and Vince McMahon and creative, they overexpose talent to a point where we get sick and tired of them and we want to start seeing less of them or somebody else. This is exactly what happened to Ricochet. Too much Ricochet is not good. Now, I don't feel the same way I did towards Ricochet as I did in NXT because we're seeing too much Ricochet. You're putting him in nothing situations, and it's just for the sake of using Ricochet and his talent and his name to fit a segment on Monday Night Raw that really doesn't need to be on the show. And the same thing with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins doesn't need to be on every show since he's the Universal Champion. He doesn't need to go the Brock Lesnar route. He doesn't need to be off TV for 6 fucking months. But you don't need Seth Rollins every single week. You don't. 2 times out of the month, bring him for the go-home show for the pay-per-view and bring him to start the feud or whatever. He doesn't need to wrestle every week. You don't need to do that. You don't need to see Kofi Kingston on Raw and SmackDown. Some of the reason why Kofi Kingston has fallen out of favor with people is because they pushed him so much on Raw, on SmackDown, on Raw, on SmackDown with the wildcard rule every single week. The wildcard rule ruined some of the appeal of Kofi, ruined some of the appeal of Seth Rollins. They definitely ruined the appeal of Becky Lynch with the wildcard rule. Becky Lynch doesn't need to be on the show every fucking week. It's WWE pretty much using these individuals and using this talent because A, they don't want to build anybody up, B, they can't build anybody up, C, they think that these names are so big in their own mind that they're going to make a difference as far as who views the show and how many people view the show and as far as ratings go. And it's not the case. You're just burning everybody out at that point. That is the facts. You don't need Becky Lynch, Kofi Kingston, Seth Rollins on every single week. You have more than enough talent to build these shows and make them feel different, refreshing, new. If the Universal Championship isn't on Monday Night Raw for 2 weeks out of the month, that's why you have the United States Championship. If the WWE Championship is not on the show 2 weeks out of the month, then that's why you have the Intercontinental Championship. And where is Shinsuke Nakamura? Why does the Intercontinental Championship take a backseat? Now, I'm sure we'll see Ali and Nakamura at Clash of Champions, but this is what I mean. This is what I mean. We get a nothing 6-man tag, and then the Intercontinental Championship is not on the show on Tuesday night. It's just illogical to me. It really is. WWE now has grown a brain and has developed some common sense and logic. They want to keep Bray Wyatt special. But they have overexposed everybody else on the roster instead of keeping them special. Ryan Satin, which, I'm not a fan of at all. And Ryan Satin, I read a funny story about Ryan Satin. He was actually going back and forth with a porn star. And her name is Abella Danger. I'm sure you guys know who she is. I'm sure you know. Just type it in. You'll see why he's going back and forth with her. Any man with 2 eyes is, it's not that difficult to figure out. Ryan Satin apparently was in California. I don't know where he is or where he lives, but he's following Abella Danger on Twitter. She tweeted that she was at a supermarket. And I'm assuming the supermarket that she was in is in Ryan Satin's hometown or in his area. So he, like a stalker, goes to the same supermarket and tries to meet up with Abella Danger. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I seen this on Reddit. So he's at the same supermarket as Abella Danger. And he is such a big fan of Abella Danger that he was so cowardly that he didn't want to go and act like this stalker that he really is. He wanted an autograph or a picture of some sort. So he was with his wife. His wife, I think, was in the parking lot sitting in the car. So his wife tweets Abella Danger. My husband is in the parking lot of the supermarket that you're at. He's too scared of going up to you and asking for a picture or an autograph. And he really likes your work, and he's a big fan of you. We're both big fans of you, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. If that's not weird enough. So she tweets back at both Satin and his wife, oh, you mean the guy that repeatedly is trying to get into my DMs and whatever the fuck he was saying. But regardless of that, married man Ryan Satin trying to get into the DMs of Abella Danger for whatever reason. Guy's got good taste in women. Or I guess he's got good taste in the looks of women, I would say, because I think she's attractive. But he's a married man. And that just goes to show you how much of a weirdo he is. And he got back and forth, not only with Bella Danger, but Jim Cornette fucking roasted him on social media, on Twitter, man. It made my day, man. I'm over here deathly ill, and I'm looking at this back and forth between Ryan Satin and Jim Cornette, and Jim Cornette absolutely buried Ryan Satin. I loved it. I loved it. That's what you get for being a pussy. Love it, man. Anyway, Satin and Pro Wrestling Sheet are reporting that WWE has decided that the Bray Wyatt character should not be overdone at this point. Wow! Look at that. How long did it take to come up with that idea? Who came up with that in WWE? They want to keep him special and give off the impression that fans never know when we will see him next. He says this, and I quote, "From what I've heard, Bray Wyatt wasn't shown on WWE TV this week with a follow-up on The Fiend debuting at SummerSlam because they want his character to be special and for it to feel like you'll never know what he's going to do or when he's going to strike next." End quote. Brad Shepard reported that Bray Wyatt was not used this week because they want to increase his character's mystique. Using him every week might burn fans out on The Fiend, therefore they held off having him appear at this week's show, and they are likely building anticipation for his next appearance. He says this, and I quote, "The idea to keep The Fiend off of Raw was to build mystique for his character, but really so the beginning of the character and, pulling him off TV right now is for a soft pullback on the brand split. They now see Bray as a potential draw on SmackDown, which will be a focus moving forward." So they didn't put him on Monday Night Raw, according to Brad Shepard, because the powers that be, or Fox, I should say, because they are really now the powers that be in this situation, they may want The Fiend on SmackDown Live. This is a good thing, folks, and a good thing not because of what I just mentioned with Becky and Rollins and everybody else that's just been majorly overexposed. But to be honest with you, I honestly think with everything that we talked about here with Bray Wyatt and them keeping him special and him, not really being compromised as far as his gimmick and his appearance and his look, WWE cannot give in to anything. They are already so invested in everything. This is just one aspect of him of them keeping him special. They need to keep him special, and they need to do whatever they need to do to keep him off of TV. He doesn't need to be on TV every week. I don't want to see this every week. This is a novelty act, and this is going to be something that is going to catch everybody's attention every time that it happens. You can't fuck with it. You can't overexpose it. You can't be taking aspect of his gimmick here and there and replacing them with something else just because someone's complaining about it on social media. You are here right now to create a superstar. A superstar right now that could be the biggest thing in your entire company. Why would you jeopardize that? Why would you jeopardize Bray Wyatt in any sense of the word? With AEW coming on into the game now on TNT and stepping on your ball field, they're going to give the pro wrestling landscape and the pro wrestling world their dose of cool. They're going to do what they need to do with their sports directive and their sports-oriented product. They're going to have wins and losses matter. They're going to be a real sports-driven product over there on TVT. They're going to have their certain coolness factor to them. We all know that. And they're going to deliver on many aspects that are missing on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Why would you want to jeopardize you being cool when you know AEW is going to come on in and kind of take away some of your coolness points in this thing? The more you take away from Bray Wyatt, the less it's going to be cool. Let him do what he needs to do. Don't ever step on someone's creativity. If WWE wants to sit there with this Bray Wyatt character and be generic WWE, then no one is going to find an interest in it like they should. Now, if you want to let Bray Wyatt be Bray Wyatt and let his creativity run wild and, let the handcuffs sit to the side on this one and don't keep the ball and chain too tight around his fucking ankle, then you are going to be generating a lot of cool points with your audience. Right now, you need to sit there and think, how could we get some of that audience's attention and not have them think, oh, this is generic, boring, stale, formulaic WWE. Then go ahead and kill this character and take away from the overall character that we already love. But if you want to gain some cool points, keep him the way he is. You need to gain some of that back from the audience that you lost. So that's my take on that. Don't make this uncool. Right now it's cool. Leave it alone and don't touch it. WWE reportedly, speaking of SummerSlam, it was cool at SummerSlam, leave it. Becky Lynch, some people might not think Becky Lynch is cool anymore because of that overexposed nature that the Becky Lynch character has felt on Monday Night Raw. WWE was actually very surprised by the reaction Becky Lynch got in Canada at SummerSlam against Natalya. I don't know why they're surprised. I could tell you why they're surprised. Because they're a bunch of idiots. I'm not surprised because of one reason and one reason only. And we'll get to that after we read the report here from Brad Shepard. Brad Shepard reports that people were surprised backstage at the positive reaction that Becky Lynch garnered in Toronto. After all, she was facing a true Canadian like Natalya. He says this, and I quote, "I'm told people in the gorilla position are surprised by the positive reaction to Becky Lynch. They thought she may be booed out of the building since Natalya is from Canada, and they were caught off guard." End quote. Now, I don't know why they were caught off guard by this. Natalya has had nothing as far as character development on TV. Natalya has not been in anything of a priority on WWE TV. People are not dumb. People know that Natalya was put in this situation, and everyone, I guarantee you, if you poll 100 people in that audience, they'd probably all give you the same answer. Why do you think Natalya is in this women's championship match against Becky Lynch? Because WWE had nobody else, and they figured, you know what? Toronto is the home of SummerSlam. Natty is Canadian, so we'll put the Canadian in the title match in Canada. It's not that difficult to figure out, folks. You want to know why Natalya didn't get the overwhelming reaction that WWE expected? You want to sit here and wonder why Becky Lynch didn't get booed in Canada? Because Natty was a forced option on the crowd that meant nothing to Becky Lynch's overall title reign, and it was something that WWE did just because the event was emanating from Canada. People are not that stupid. WWE needs to stop treating their fans like they have no brain. Natalya is worthless. I'd rather watch paint dry than Natalya on WWE television. She tried to be something that she's not, and even when she tried, it came off decent, but it came off forced. And that's not who Natalya is. Natalya has been up and down, up and down, up and down. 1 minute she's a heel, 1 minute she's a babyface. 1 minute she's a bitch, 1 minute she's cat lady. You know? You can't have the best. You can't have both. You can't have both versions of Natalya. There's been so much hot and cold. There's been so much up and down with Natalya that nobody knows who she is. And better yet, there's been so much indifference with Natalya that nobody gives a shit. So why would you expect Becky Lynch to be booed against someone that nobody genuinely gives a shit about? WWE's got some mental fucking problems. I really think that they do. Seriously. They're surprised by this, yet I know everybody listening to me is not surprised by Becky Lynch getting an overwhelming reaction. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Becky was on Monday Night Raw, and she interrupted Sasha Banks attacking Natalya. Sasha Banks was attacking Natalya, and she was getting reactions of "thank you, Sasha," by attacking Natalya during a heel turn. If that doesn't show you how much people don't care about Natalya, I don't know what will. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Speaking of SummerSlam also, WWE cut Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan from SummerSlam. Now, this was reported by Heel by Nature, and they report that WWE is currently planning a big segment with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan this coming Tuesday. Apparently, we're going to find out who is the culprit, so to say, by Daniel Bryan. Now, it was said at SummerSlam that they had a pretty insane segment planned, and it was cut from the final script of SummerSlam. So nothing was seen at SummerSlam, and we've seen everything take place here as far as the storyline goes on Tuesday night with that incredible match with Roman Reigns and Buddy Murphy, which I will have news on tomorrow. So make sure you guys watch out for that. Brad Shepard reports that WWE wrote a big segment for the show at SummerSlam involving Reigns, Bryan, and Rowan. Instead, they only alluded to the storyline and showed a highlight reel from the previous weeks with no additional, footage of anything and no addition to the story overall. So they wrote out the big segment planned with Roman Rowan and Bryan, and ended the show with a boring babyface Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar again. It looks like we're in for more boring Seth and Becky on Raw. Yikes, is what Brad Shepard says on social media. Now, I don't really mind this because the longer WWE takes with this and the more time that they actually give to this and the more thought that they give to this, the longer we are going to get, some cliffhangers on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. We're going to get those cliffhangers on SmackDown, but there's going to be a reason for us to watch these shows. I'm glad that they didn't end it. If they gave us Bryan and Roman at SummerSlam, that's it. That's it. I hope that Paul Heyman is having some sort of influence over this entire storyline. Because if this was old WWE before they hired Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff as executive directors, this would have been a match at SummerSlam and they would have blew everything off in 3 weeks. And that's not what you do. As soon as you give us that match, that's half the storyline right there. Right now, WWE is playing it calm, they're playing it cool, and I appreciate that. Plus, we got a Buddy Murphy match with Roman Reigns that was outstanding and a star-making night for Buddy Murphy. And it made a lot of people warm up to Roman Reigns in a way that I haven't seen people warm up to Roman Reigns in quite some time. I'm not saying that's going to be an every week thing, but I am someone who tells you exactly how it is. There's a reason why I shit on certain things, and there's a reason why I praise certain things. This is what I do. The 5 years of Roman that we got was nauseating. The 5 years of Roman have been unnatural and forced. For the first time in 5 years, Roman is coming off in a natural setting. For the first time in 5 years, Roman is not the priority on these shows. Now you want to know why I'm actually appreciating Roman a little bit more? He's not the focus of these shows. He's not fighting for a championship. He's not fighting to be the man who needs to sit upon the throne and be the king of WWE. That was terrible. That was terrible. That's reserved for now Seth Rollins. And there's a reason why we don't like Seth Rollins. It's odd that we hate Seth Rollins and we are showing more appreciation to Roman Reigns. Maybe it's WWE's plan by design. Maybe it is. They do it for Roman. This might be another aspect of they do it for Roman. Let's book Seth like we did Roman so people hate him so that they appreciate Roman a little bit more now in this current storyline. I would not put it past them. I certainly would not put it past them. It's very odd that people like me are appreciating Roman Reigns, but I could see someone who goes out there and is very unselfish in his job or his business. He was unselfish to Buddy Murphy. He let Buddy Murphy shine for 15 minutes, and he did one hell of a job to make Buddy Murphy stand out as a superstar on SmackDown Live. People still don't believe me in me saying, oh, Buddy Murphy looks like a superstar. He was in the ring with Roman Reigns. He was in the ring with the number one man in this company. And Roman Reigns was unselfish in everything that he did, selling Buddy Murphy's specialties, selling Buddy Murphy's moveset. Those near falls, those kickouts, fans on their feet, Tom Phillips adding the drama to the overall aspect of it. Corey Graves doing his deal. Everybody made Buddy Murphy look great. He's no longer WWE's best kept secret. That's a secret that I want out. How are you going to say, oh, he didn't win the match, he's a loser still? Give me a break. Buddy Murphy might have an 0-1 record on SmackDown Live. I don't look at it that way. I look at Buddy Murphy getting a loss, but that loss was the biggest win of his fucking career. And we got news on that tomorrow. Apparently, Buddy Murphy was in the wrong place at the wrong time for this entire storyline. He was not even supposed to be in the camera shot. And then there were some investigators on social media that seen Buddy Murphy walking gingerly. I don't know if he knew that there was going to be a shot there or if they were going to be filming there. I don't know. You could take this as it comes. I honestly think everything that is on TV is done for a reason. And we'll talk about what I think about this tomorrow. But apparently this was just out of sheer coincidence that Buddy Murphy was there. He didn't know he was there or he was going to be in this thing. And WWE actually called this a botch. That Buddy Murphy was not supposed to be a part of the storyline. And they ended up taking this botch and turning it into part of the storyline. Which I don't know if you really want to say is a good thing or a bad thing. It certainly ended up being a good thing for Buddy Murphy. But if that's the case, WWE, it just shows you that they're writing these shows on the fly. And that's not really a good thing. It's not a very comforting feeling to know that WWE's writing SmackDown Live on the fly because they fucking botched. And they're making additions here and there. Things should be planned. A storyline like this should be planned in advance. Something so, I would say, complex, that's got a lot of moving pieces. Something like this should be planned. You think NXT wrote the Aleister Black storyline in fucking 1 week? No! They had 4 weeks. Now, yes, it's a tape TV show, and they tape everything in one fucking night, but they had to go into that with some sort of idea. There was ideas already on the table. It seems like WWE is just piecing this shit together as we go. And that Aleister Black storyline with Gargano and Ciampa and everybody, and who attacked Aleister Black, that shit did not come about in that quick of a fashion that we see here. It seems like everything is just being pieced together here on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, whereas that had at least some thought into it. So, I am glad that Bryan and Roman Reigns is not happening as of yet. It's more than likely going to happen at Clash of Champions. I wouldn't even do it then. Because it's not going to be for a title. And Clash of Champions is a pay-per-view one night out of the year where all titles are defended on the main show. That's not a title match. I would save that for the Fox debut on October 5th. That's what I would do. That's a big enough match to put in the main event there, and that's what I would do. A lot of eyes are going to be on that show. That's where you build the next chapter of this storyline. That's just what I would do. Let me know what you guys would think down below in the comments, man. Today's Off the Script is brought to you guys by Honey. If you're shopping online, more than likely you're not saving as much money as you think you are. Maybe a new suit for yourself, some jewelry for the wife, a new pair of sneakers for your vacation, some new gaming equipment for your office setup. I know a lot of you guys like to collect the WWE Mattel action figures. Maybe you guys want to go out there and find the best deal as far as that's concerned. You guys now have Honey, your smart shopping assistant, to help you save not only your time, but what's in your wallet. Honey is a free browser add-on that finds the best deals online. You don't even have to worry about promo codes anymore. With one click, Honey does all the work for you and scans every working code on the internet and applies the best one to your next purchase, and it works across over 37,000 sites on the internet, such as Amazon, Sephora, Best Buy, and Nordstrom. I actually installed Honey on my browser, and it took less than 30 seconds, and I was already on my way to browsing deals for myself. I bought Super Mario Maker 2 for my Nintendo Switch using Honey, and I saved $5 off the regular retail price of a standard $59.99. Honey members have already saved more than $800 million, and that's not bad for something that's completely free, and like I said, takes 30 seconds to install on your browser. Honey also has over 100,000 five-star reviews on the Google Chromecast store, and Time Magazine calls Honey basically free money. Shop better, guys. Shop better, shop smart. Get Honey for free and use our unique link, joinhoney.com/offthescript, and tell them that JD sent you to save some money on your next purchase. Once again, that's joinhoney.com/offthescript. I think we can all agree that Dolph Ziggler has been an absolute waste since his return to the WWE for Super Showdown and a WWE Championship match that he did not deserve in the first place against Kofi Kingston. Dolph Ziggler has been a loser, and I hate saying that because I think Dolph Ziggler is one of the best wrestlers that the WWE has employed in the entire company. I've said it for months leading up to all the rumors of Ziggler coming back. Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? Did he sign a new deal? Was he foolish enough to sign a new deal? I said it all through those rumors that the best thing for Dolph Ziggler to do would be to go away. That's all he needed to do, is go away. Go away. Whether it's wrestling or doing your comedy stuff, just go away. Now, he's too young to just step away from the world of pro wrestling. I'm sure he's got enough money saved up. I'm sure Dolph Ziggler is not frivolous with his money. Doesn't look to be, anyway. I don't see Dolph Ziggler being someone who's going to go out and just spend, and then dig a hole for himself. Seems like a bright enough guy. He's young. He's good looking. He's got all the talent in the world to be whatever the fuck he wants in this business. WWE clearly did not give him all the opportunities that he deserved in the company. Money in the Bank, WWE Champion, or World Heavyweight Championship, whatever. multiple-time Intercontinental Champion, multiple-time U.S. Champion. All bullshit. All bullshit. It's about the Dolph Ziggler character as far as the way we see it now from, I would say, December all the way to where we sit now. Dolph Ziggler gave up the United States Championship. There was no reason as to why he gave up the United States Championship. He won it. He was the champion. And then he put it down on the ground, on the stage, walked away without any explanation whatsoever. We didn't get an explanation. He showed up in the Royal Rumble. And the first thing on my mind was, hey, Vince, how about we get an explanation as to why he gave up the United States Championship, a championship in the WWE, only to come back and be in the Royal Rumble and then get eliminated in like 2 minutes. So he gives up a guaranteed championship in the company that we all know he is good enough to defend, to show up in the Royal Rumble and get eliminated in 2 minutes. How do you think that makes the United States Championship look? Oh, Dolph Ziggler's too good for the United States Championship. I don't want it. What do you think that does for everybody else's eyes and ears watching this show? Oh, if Dolph Ziggler doesn't like the United States Championship, if he doesn't find any value or prestige in the United States Championship, so why am I going to do that? Why would I feel any differently towards the United States Championship if Dolph Ziggler is just willingly giving it up without wanting it? Do you know what that does? Your fans are very impressionable. It's not a good look. It's not a good look for when your championships now mean nothing, and then you ask yourself, why? Why do my championships mean nothing? Not like you give a shit anyway. Why don't the fans give a shit about said championship? It's moments like that. It's moments like that. You can't be doing that. Then he goes away. Then he goes away up until April. We don't hear anything from Dolph Ziggler. 4 months, zip. Done. Shows up on SmackDown Live. He attacks Kofi Kingston. It should have been me! Dolph Ziggler. This is the new role that Dolph Ziggler is playing. It should have been me. Crybaby bitch. Dolph Ziggler. This went on for months and months and months, and it's still going on. It should have been me. Now he's not feuding with Kofi. He's feuding with The Miz for whatever reason. You know, now he's feuding with legends. Calling out Goldberg and Shawn Michaels and this one and that one. Now he's on the microphone like a sniveling pussy. And he's like, oh, you don't have the balls. You're not man enough to come down here and meet me and beat me face to face. This is exactly what WWE thinks of Dolph Ziggler. A fucking coward. A coward. Dolph Ziggler doesn't look good in my eyes. Dolph Ziggler does not look like a tough guy. Dolph Ziggler looks like a fucking idiot in my eyes. That's what he looks like. Dolph Ziggler should have went away. Dolph Ziggler should have went the road of Cody Rhodes. Dolph Ziggler should have went the road of Jon Moxley. Because Dolph Ziggler in AEW, in my eyes, in my honest opinion, would have breathed new life into Dolph Ziggler. New life. We would have seen a Dolph Ziggler. Now, he wouldn't be able to use that name, of course, but we would have seen a new Dolph in AEW. He didn't want to do that. And in some aspect, at some point, you have to think and say to yourself, man, I respect him, but how bright is he? He's not the brightest guy. He is slaving away for WWE, and they do not value Dolph Ziggler. They don't give a shit about the Dolph Ziggler character. They don't give a fuck about Dolph Ziggler. They only want you here for a role in Saudi Arabia to fill a fucking 10-minute match that went nowhere. They want you to fill a couple months of TV time because they're too lazy to creatively write for somebody else to put in that role. So they got to call upon you. And there's so many logic gaps in that I can't even go over all of them. They don't give a shit about Dolph Ziggler. They would have given a shit about Dolph Ziggler if he went away and gave his services to somebody else. That's when they would have gave a shit about you. You would have been all over fucking Titan Tower. Oh, look at the match that Dolph had against Kenny Omega. Oh, look at the match that Dolph had against MJF. Oh, look at the match that Dolph had against Jon Moxley. Dolph Ziggler's the AEW World Champion. Why didn't he do that for us? Why didn't he do that for us? You never gave him the opportunity to do it for you. All you did was embarrass him in front of the crowd, and all the crowd looks at is a fucking loser. Instead of going somewhere where he would have been respected. Said the same thing about Seth Rollins. WWE had the man in Seth Rollins in 2018. Now who do we got? Do we got a champion that you give a shit about? I don't think so. We got a champion right now that is being forced down your throats, and WWE is trying desperately to make him cool, make him come off as a champion. They're even getting Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin to vouch for this guy's failures. And it's not all his fault. WWE had it last year. They fucked up because they thought Roman was it. Meanwhile, Rollins was it. This is why I mentioned before. It's like they're doing this on purpose. They want you to hate Rollins so that you like Roman Reigns. And I would not be surprised that we feel the same way about Rollins as we did Reigns. WWE wants us to think Rollins doesn't have it. Reigns has it. Rollins isn't cool. Roman's coming off more cool. And that's a fact. Dolph needed to go away. 6 months, 4 months, 2 months, whatever. Not enough. A year wouldn't have even been enough time for him to be away. He needed to be away for 2-3 years. Because 4 months, people are going to think back, oh, well, I seen him give up the United States Championship, and now he's back on TV, just like where he was in December. He's still a loser. He don't win matches. He's great, but he doesn't back up anything that he says. He's a fucking pushover. He's a scrub. He's a bum. He's a loser. So why am I going to sit here and go out there and praise Dolph Ziggler when there's nothing to praise Dolph Ziggler on? He hasn't won a goddamn match. He needed to go to AEW. I knew for a fact this company didn't give a shit about him, and this report pretty much solidifies that fact. This is an exclusive from bodyslam.net on Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, they said, made a surprise return earlier this year at the Royal Rumble after taking some time off from the company. We went over that. We documented that already. He had previously commented on this, saying that he had hoped for more time off, but the roughly 2.5 months was the most time that he's had off in 14 years. The life of a pro wrestler, folks. You want to get into the field of pro wrestling? There you go. 2.5 months is the most time that he's had off in 14 years. That is ridiculous. Since his return, things have not been so great for Dolph Ziggler. Dolph wrestled Goldberg in a losing effort at SummerSlam, then lost again on Raw to The Miz. So where does this leave Dolph Ziggler? What's next for Dolph Ziggler, they say. But according to a source, to bodyslam.net, a source in WWE that they spoke to this past Monday, this Monday was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler's last day with the company. I was told that there wasn't a handshake. I was told that there was a handshake deal in place between Vince and Dolph Ziggler. So there was a handshake deal. A handshake deal between Dolph Ziggler and Vince McMahon. And that Vince would let Dolph out of his deal following SummerSlam so that Ziggler can pursue other projects. On Monday prior to Raw, Dolph approached Vince McMahon to thank him. However, it was then that Vince told Dolph that he could not let him out of his deal. Could not let him out of his deal. And that he would just rather pay him to stay home. That is exactly what the source told bodyslam.net. Vince would rather pay Dolph Ziggler to sit at home and do nothing. This situation is especially interesting because WWE has just advertised Dolph. I don't know if you guys seen this in a triple threat match for the title that will be taking place on the first episode of SmackDown Live on Fox. I don't know if that's going to be the live show. That more than likely that's nothing more than a dark match at the show. I don't know what that means. I don't know why that match would make sense. Dolph, Kofi, and Randy Orton in a triple threat match for the WWE Championship. What the fuck does Dolph Ziggler have to do with the WWE Championship? Why do they continue to put him in these loser-like situations? I don't understand it. So now it appears as though Dolph is no longer being listed, and the previously mentioned title match has now been changed to a 6-man tag team match, which I hope is nothing more than a dark match, because I fucking hate 6-man tag team matches that amount to nothing. It is also no secrets that Vince McMahon does not want to lose one of his top superstars to another project like Jon Moxley and AEW. They said that they would keep us updated if we hear anything about this developing situation with Dolph and his current status with WWE. Folks, why would Vince now all of a sudden care about Dolph Ziggler? Handshake deal. Dolph, I'll let you out of your contract. Come back and do me the favor. Put over Kofi. Put over this one. Put over Goldberg. We'll pay you. We got the Saudi deal. We'll give you a cool $1 million for that. Come back, do me this favor, and then you can go do your thing. Simple as that. Now, Vince is nixing the deal, and he doesn't want Dolph to go anywhere, and he wants Dolph to sit at home. Why is that, folks? Please, go ahead. I'm going to take a sip of my cold beverage. I want you guys to ponder this one, and the answer is easy. It's like I gave you the fucking sheet notes as to what is going on here, folks. It is very simple. Okay, time is up. Class, sit down. We're going to go over the answer. Folks, the answer is very simple. It is called the AEW effect. If you didn't know that, you're a blithering idiot. It's the AEW effect. Vince is triggered by AEW. He doesn't want to let Dolph out. He doesn't want to let Dolph go and pursue other projects. But Dolph is an independent contractor, isn't he? Dolph is an independent contractor. He could do whatever the fuck he wants. Yet Vince McMahon here is telling Dolph, oh, I can't let you out of your deal. I would just rather pay you to sit at home. But they give a shit about Dolph Ziggler, right? Vince McMahon cares so much about Dolph Ziggler, the person behind Dolph Ziggler, right? He cares about Nick, right? Give me a fucking break. Now, I understand Vince is a businessman, but how much does Vince value the people that work for him? He doesn't. He doesn't at all. You haven't shown me 1 ounce of fucking support for Dolph Ziggler. If Dolph Ziggler was so important to you, for you to have the balls to say to him, well, yeah, I can't let you out of your deal. I would just rather pay you to sit at home. You know, you didn't value Dolph Ziggler on fucking TV, so why keep him a part of your payroll so that he doesn't go to some other wrestling promotion? Are you out of your fucking mind? Seriously, I'm sure Dolph would gladly take that. I'm sure Dolph would gladly take that deal, because what is he going to do? Is he going to answer Vince McMahon back? Is he going to take Vince McMahon to fucking court? I don't think so. However long Dolph Ziggler's deal is, he gets to get paid by WWE and then do comedy on the side. He's double dipping without actually having to put his body through the torture of pro wrestling. That's a fucking sweet deal if you ask me. But on the same side of the coin, how much does Dolph Ziggler value Dolph Ziggler? To a point where he would say, yes, Vince, I'll take that deal. He doesn't value himself. He wants to remain complacent. He doesn't want to go out there and challenge himself and broaden his horizons. He wants to sit and be complacent in WWE while making easy money because he's appeasing the old man. Vince McMahon is one shitty fucking human being. He really is. He didn't give one fucking single fuck about Dolph Ziggler. Now he cares about Dolph Ziggler enough to, I'll pay you to sit at home. If I'm a boss, seriously, this is the one aspect of it that I don't understand. And, I guess Vince doesn't give a shit about money. He doesn't give a shit about money whatsoever. I know that whatever they're paying Dolph Ziggler could be used for pyro. It could be used for something. How about getting new fucking stages for your pay-per-view events? You fucking asshole! Huh? You want to sit and have Dolph Ziggler sit at home and make all this money? That's money you're throwing away. It's money you're throwing away. I know if I'm a fucking CEO of a company, I'm not paying anybody to sit at home and do nothing. I want to pay him and use him for the talent that he possesses. I want to pay him for his services. How shitty is it that Vince has all this money to throw around and pay someone for basically doing nothing? That's not really what I would want for my company. But you know what, folks? When some other company with the initials AEW comes in and shits on my front lawn, then I'm going to do whatever I have to do to keep talent away from AEW. What a terrible fucking situation. Vince comes off like an idiot. He comes off like a piece of shit. Dolph Ziggler How unfair is it to him that he made a handshake? That's what you get for making handshake deals. I guarantee you Dolph is never going to make a handshake deal with anybody else. A handshake deal in the midst of a wrestling war with Cody Rhodes and AEW. Did you really think that he was going to let you out of your contract? Huh? What a dummy. What a dummy. Yeah, let's make a handshake deal. Vince will let me out. Vince loves me and appreciates me and respects me so much. Yeah, he'll let me out and let me do what I want to do. He don't trust anybody. He had 1/3 of his beloved Shield go to AEW and make the biggest impact that this wrestling company has seen. And it wasn't even in their fucking favor. Wasn't even in their favor. He made the biggest splash all year in pro wrestling. You think? You think he's going to let you do that now? What a dummy. Guarantee he's not making any more handshake deals with anybody else from this point on. And how shitty is it of Dolph Ziggler to just say, you know what, I'll take the money. Complacent Dolph. Both of them are in the wrong. Dolph is an idiot. Vince is a shitty fucking person. And I feel bad for Dolph. This is what happens. You wanted to come back in the first place. This is what you get. I look at this as, well, you reap what you sow. You wanted to come back and do what? Be a loser. Meanwhile, you could have walked away. Your contract was up, and here you stay with the WWE. Your contract was up. You could have went anywhere in the world and been the Dolph Ziggler we've been wanting for years, and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. What a dummy. An absolute dummy. On one hand, I want to feel bad for him, but on the other hand, I don't want to feel bad for him because he made a handshake deal with fucking Satan himself. Ridiculous. I'll keep you guys updated on that. That's just an absolutely shitty situation for Dolph Ziggler. And a shitty situation for WWE. Independent contractors. My ass. Independent contractors. If that wasn't enough, WWE wants to keep Dolph Ziggler at home so that he doesn't go to the competition. Who knows if he is going to go to the competition. But that's what they are thinking. This story ties into that one. WWE is interested in signing wrestlers that they previously had no interest in. I wonder why. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that at this point, WWE is talking about bringing in a few people that they previously had no interest in. Who these people are, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of months, says the Observer. But there could be some people getting offers from WWE just because they don't want them going to AEW. WWE has opened up talks about bringing in a number of people that they've never had any interest in, with the obvious reason that there is a belief that they could be of value to the opposition. This is why I guess they went after Joey Ryan, of all fucking people. Not really the type of guy that I want in my company or the type of act I want on my TV show, but that's how low WWE will go, and that's how WWE will expose themselves for worrying about what AEW is doing. Yeah, but they're not worried about AEW, right? Everything that WWE has done is because of the AEW effect. Do not believe anything coming out of their mouth. Oh, we're not worried about them. They're going to end up like TNA. They're going to be the WWE landfill by 2020. Yeah, sure. That's why you're scooping up and killing the indies just so that the indies don't go to AEW. Ridiculous. That's nothing new. We've been saying this for months. WWE is being very petty and very careless with the money that they're throwing around just so that this talent doesn't go to All Elite Wrestling. Speaking of Vince McMahon is reportedly very happy with the work Paul Heyman has done on Monday Night Raw so far. He may be happy, but Vince McMahon has always been somebody who dwells in mediocrity. Vince McMahon liking the show doesn't mean it's a good show. The shows have been terrible. Sasha Banks' heel turn on a 3-hour show and the announcement of a King of the Ring tournament does not make a good show. Yes, Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander had a great match on Monday Night Raw, but that does not make a good show. There's 3 hours that Monday Night Raw needs to fill. What I told you was about 20 minutes. Fucking idiots out there. It was the best Raw of the year. Are you out of your fucking mind? Best Raw of the year. Is everybody just so okay with mediocrity? You don't want to be better? I wonder how these people live their lives. Oh, yeah, you know what? I got fired from my job today, but I'm going to sit home and play fucking video games all day. I'll look for a job in about 4 weeks. I'll just sit here and get unemployment. 1 month rolls by, 2 months roll by, 3 months roll by, and you're still sitting there in your crusty fucking underwear with your Dorito fingers. You haven't showered in 5 days. Yeah, you know what? My life is okay. Yeah, everything's going to be all right. Meanwhile, you're fucking dwindling away to nothing. Idiot. What is with this mediocrity being accepted? Nobody wants to be better? You don't think this company could be better? Or should be better? You don't want better? You're okay with what's going on. Some people were comparing SummerSlam on Sunday to some of the greatest SummerSlams of all time. Folks, I see nines and a half on SummerSlam Sunday night. That would put it on par with the 2002 SummerSlam, which is probably and arguably the best SummerSlam that they've ever done. How is that even possible? Can you honestly look me in the face and tell me that SummerSlam even came within the same fucking atmosphere of the 2002 SummerSlam? I would have to look at you like you're a blithering idiot. There is stupidity and then there is a valid opinion, folks. Stupidity does not constitute as a valid opinion. Okay? There is a clear difference between the two. Someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about and someone who does know what they're talking about and brings forth facts as to why I could question what he's talking about. I can't question what's happening here because it is so fucking stupid that it goes in one ear and out the other. It hits the wall, and I hope it fucking hits the wall so hard that it explodes. It's ridiculous. Come on now, be smart. You gotta be smarter than that. Brad Shepard said on the Oh You Didn't Know podcast that Vince McMahon had an amazing thing to say about Paul Heyman's work during a recent creative meeting. SummerSlam made the chairman very happy. Mediocrity dwells in Titan Tower because it was nothing more than a mediocre show. And that caused him to throw out such uncharacteristic praise to Paul Heyman. Brad Shepard says this, and I quote, "I'm told there was a creative meeting after Monday Night Raw this week, which went until early in the morning. Vince was happy with SummerSlam and Raw and gave Paul Heyman public credit, very uncharacteristically, and lavish praise on Paul Heyman." We haven't seen the best of Monday Night Raw yet, because clearly Paul Heyman, though he has stroke, has not had enough stroke to make the show in his own image, and that won't happen. These shows have not been good, folks. When they're good, I'll let you know. That's why you're here. And I hope you're smart enough to realize that a Sasha Banks heel turn and a King of the Ring tournament announcement and a great match with Drew McIntyre and Cedric Alexander, that's what we should be seeing every fucking week. I don't get it. That's 20 minutes of a 3-hour show. Please tell me what else happened on that show that made me stand up and shout and say, this was a great Raw. Nothing. I don't even remember what happened on the show. That's how unimportant it was. Yeah, Braun Strowman came out at the end and held up the Universal Championship. Man, I'm wetting my fucking pants. I got a fucking hard on at the thought of Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins for a championship match. Said no one ever. Unless you're Justin LaBar, because he wants Strowman as the Universal Champion, which in my mind is just bizarre, but to each their own. To each their own. Paul Heyman's work has not been showcased at all. I see some influence here and there. Pyro was on SummerSlam's night, but how much of that was Paul Heyman? They did the video package last week with the theme music to Monday Night Raw. We didn't get it this week. Why? Did Vince McMahon not like it? Vince McMahon's edict for wrestling during the commercials apparently has gone away. Maybe that's a Paul Heyman thing. We haven't seen 2 out of 3 Falls matches with commercial breaks every fall. We haven't seen elimination 6-man tag team matches every week just to go to commercial. That might be some of the change that Paul Heyman is instituting on these shows. But that is not enough to make the shows good. That's just fixing something that was not broken to begin with. You know? You're fixing something that Vince wanted on the show that was never on the show before. So you're catching up because Vince is a fucking idiot. Yet I'm not feeling any influence on these shows whatsoever. You know? That's just my thought on that. WWE has announced all competitors in the King of the Ring tournament, folks. This is the list of 16. And I'm excited about it. Raw, Baron Corbin, Cesaro, Cedric Alexander, Drew McIntyre, Ricochet, Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and The Miz. Monday Night Raw's field does not look very impressive outside of Cedric, Cesaro, Drew McIntyre, and Ricochet. Samoa Joe, I mean, I got news on him tomorrow and why WWE turns him babyface only to turn him heel on Monday night, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't find any redeeming value in Samoa Joe. I do, but WWE doesn't. They're just going to have him lose, I'm sure. SmackDown, Ali, Andrade, Cien Almas, Apollo Crews, which is great. Buddy Murphy, Chad Gable. That's why Chad Gable was backstage with Elias. Now I see. Wow, WWE doing some planning, or is that just a mere happenstance? Chad Gable from 205 Live. Is he on 205 Live anymore, or is he now on SmackDown Live? I don't know. Elias, Kevin Owens, and Shelton Benjamin. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Live that WWE constructed the King of the Ring tournament in 2019 for one reason and one reason only. It is all being built around pushing one guy who will supposedly be the winner of the whole thing. Well, Dave, any more fucking breaking stories? Now, let me go back and kind of reiterate what Dave Meltzer tried to say here. It's being done to push one guy who will be the winner of it all. It wasn't noted who the entire tournament was brought back for, he says, but WWE apparently brought back the King of the Ring tournament for one particular superstar. Why can't it be for 16 different superstars? Why does it have to be about one? Does anybody know? Does anybody grasp onto the aspect that these tournaments are not just for one person, but these tournaments could be built up in a way to benefit all 16? Seriously. Look at Shayna Baszler in the Mae Young Classic a couple of years back. She went all the way to the finals against Kairi Sane. Shayna Baszler's start was because of that tournament. We all knew and became familiar with Shayna Baszler, and she ended up losing. We all fell in love with Kairi Sane. Toni Storm went through a similar thing. She made the semifinals in year one. Last year, she went all the way to the finals and won the entire thing. That is what a tournament does. We see Toni go through the struggle of wanting to win it. Then she meets tough competition like Meiko Satomura and Io Shirai at the end. Even with Tegan Nox. I didn't know who Tegan Nox was from a hole in the wall before the Mae Young Classic, and we fell in love with her. Rhea Ripley, we seen her last year, or the year before, with that soccer-style gimmick. She was just completely different. This year, she transformed her whole look. Look at Rhea Ripley. You're more invested. That tournament showed how much of a badass she is. The tournament needs to be used for Ali and have him go through the underdog type role. Andrade needs to be that guy who is so confident in his abilities he's going to win matches. Apollo could use this. He needs to look good. Buddy Murphy needs to absolutely build off what he did with Roman Reigns. Chad Gable is the fucking technical guy. He needs to be in there and show off what he could do. Elias, he's a nobody. Fuck him. Kevin Owens, he's the guy that WWE's putting a lot of stock into. It's going to be his tournament. Shelton Benjamin, we haven't seen him in fucking God knows how long. He needs to use this tournament to realize, you know what, I'm still here. He needs to use this tournament as a way to get back into the audience's good graces and show us exactly what he could still do at the age of 45 or however old he is. Baron Corbin. King Corbin could be a reality, folks. King Corbin could be a reality. Cesaro. He's one of the best wrestlers in the company. This is a tournament for him. You know, Cedric, Drew, Ricochet, Sammy. Sammy's not a loser. Sammy needs to use this and show us why he can still go. Okay? Give him a fucking win in this tournament. Samoa Joe, The Miz. This tournament should be used for 16 guys, not one. Every one of those matches needs to tell some sort of story, not a storyline. They don't need to be fighting over anything. The tournament is the storyline. Give me a reason. Have these guys go out there and explain, like Kevin Owens did, why this tournament is so important to them and what they're going to do to win the tournament. That's what needs to be done here. Just like with the Mae Young Classic, just like with the Cruiserweight Classic. We heard from everybody as to how important these tournaments were and why they need to win it, why they want to win it. This needs to be done here. This needs to be done in that same fashion. And I want to see matches like we've seen with Murphy and Reigns, Cedric and Drew McIntyre. Those types of matches need to be done here. Simple. Now, I could be saying this, and it sounds great, and WWE could go back to the drawing board and fucking have Baron Corbin win the King of the Ring. He could be in the finals with fucking Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. Seriously. Baron Corbin could be in the finals with Kevin Owens. Shane McMahon would use his power to pull Baron Corbin out of the King of the Ring and have the finals be Shane McMahon and Kevin Owens, with Shane McMahon winning the King of the Ring tournament. So not only is he the best in the world, but he's the king of the ring in WWE. I just gave you guys, every single one of you watching me, some fucking unknown disease that is incurable. How likely is it of WWE to go and do something like that? Build up 16 guys for Shane McMahon. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there, folks. Please, don't kill the messenger. When it happens, you can just ask me for the fucking Powerball numbers, and maybe we can split a pot of $500 million. Seth Rollins. But yes, that's what needs to happen with the King of the Ring. Not Shane McMahon, but not just for one, but for 16. Who do I think is going to win the King of the Ring? You got a lot of finals that could be fun there. You can have... Now, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how this tournament's going to be set up, to be honest with you. I would do Raw versus Raw on one side and SmackDown versus SmackDown on the other side, and then have the finals be Raw versus SmackDown. That's what I would do. So if I'm looking at that case, and that's the way that they go about it, I would have Ali, and I would have maybe Drew McIntyre, or it could be an Ali versus a Ricochet, or it could be a Drew McIntyre versus Kevin Owens. I hope to God that they don't use this as a catalyst for the Shane McMahon-Kevin Owens feud. That is not what I want. I really don't want that at all. But there's a lot of fun matchups that we could see here, man. I could see Buddy Murphy going against Cesaro, or I could see Buddy Murphy going against Ricochet in the finals. You know, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Hopefully WWE knows what they're doing, but the promotion for it is on point right now. They're making it feel important. Hopefully it stays that way come Monday. Seth Rollins and the Universal Championship. His next opponent is revealed, folks. And let me tell you, you're going to fall asleep during this initial report from Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer revealed who Seth Rollins' next challenger is for the Universal Championship. Of course, Vince McMahon can always change his mind. In more cases than not, he will change his mind. But at this point, I don't think he's going to change his mind. But it looks like Rollins is set to face Braun Strowman at Clash of Champions. I feel myself falling asleep already, folks, and I am under no medication. He says this, and I quote, "It is Braun Strowman in the main event, unless Vince McMahon changes his mind, but I don't think he's going to. I think that one is pretty much a done deal," which is weird because they do everything to make Seth into this babyface, and then they bring in Braun, who's going to be a super over babyface, and they bring him in just because he's kind of been forgotten about for a few weeks, just because they didn't have anything for him on SummerSlam. So the people were going to react big to him. Yeah, you know, they need some contenders, and I guess he's the guy, but there's nobody else. I mean, they could do Drew, but I guess they're not. I guess they figure that Drew's been mired so long in this thing with Cedric that he's not quite ready for that spot. I don't understand this, and I mentioned this on Monday when I did my Raw podcast. Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins is of no interest to anybody. You're already backtracking, and you're going backwards in building up Seth Rollins. You have no other heels on this brand to build up for Seth Rollins. Baron Corbin, he did that for 3 months. Brock Lesnar, he slayed the beast. Samoa Joe, I don't know if he's a babyface or a heel. Drew McIntyre, he's not there because you haven't positioned him to be a Universal Championship contender. And on top of that, we've seen it how many fucking times already? You have nobody on this brand to challenge Seth Rollins. Now you're going with the one guy who is a baby face, unless you plan to turn him heel again, which I don't think is the right decision. You're going to turn him into a guy, Rollins. You're going to turn him into a champion that people are not going to want to see as champion. At the end of Monday Night Raw, did Rollins look strong? At the end of Monday Night Raw, did Rollins look like the guy you want to see as Universal Champion? No. Braun Strowman looked like the guy who you want to see as Universal Champion. And everything that they did on Monday night absolutely killed everything that they tried to accomplish and did accomplish on Sunday night. This is going to backfire and might be one of the biggest backfires in WWE history. Because at that point, when you have that reaction that I'm expecting at Clash of Champions, where Rollins is booed in favor of Braun Strowman, not only will the SummerSlam main event be wasted, but you could go back to wasting the Money in the Bank contract, giving it to Brock Lesnar, only for Rollins to beat him again because you fucked up, only to fuck up on Rollins' reign again by putting Braun Strowman in front of him first as his first challenger, who is probably more over than he is. This is not going to work. And the more you continue giving me legends vouching for Seth Rollins, I don't need fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin to tell me how much of a great match that was. Why don't you let the match rest on how great the match was? I got my own fucking assumptions. I got my own eyes. I don't need Stone Cold to tell me that this is the Rollins we've been anticipating. No, the Rollins that we've anticipated was back in 2018 until WWE killed him off for Roman Reigns and the Roman agenda. Now you want me to believe because Stone Cold is vouching for Rollins that I need to be behind him? Nobody was behind Rollins going into SummerSlam. Everyone wanted Lesnar to win. The only reason why we came out praising the fucking match was because the match was great. The match was great. Rollins gave a great performance. Brock Lesnar gave a great performance. Now we're right back to square one. Rollins is not the champion that we all want. Lesnar was the guy that we wanted to win that match. Even now, you're making it seem like that now is still the case with this Braun Strowman match. I don't get it. And that's the way they're going. You're not going to have Braun Strowman end the Monday Night Raw by holding up the Universal Championship and then handing the title to Seth Rollins and then not book the match. WWE, they've already fucked up. I'm not even going to say, I was going to say they need to be careful. They have already fucked up. I can't picture this being exciting whatsoever. Whatsoever. Then Meltzer explained what we've explained already. The whole storyline for this win was, you can see it how it played out, but their idea was, we want you to think he has no chance to win, so when he wins, it makes him a bigger babyface. That was when Rollins went over on Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That's what Meltzer said about that. He continued and said, they're just desperate to have Seth Rollins as the top babyface on this show. And that's the case. I mean, that's not even a secret. They are desperate. Bret Hart, Stone Cold, they're very desperate to have Seth Rollins as the biggest babyface on this brand. Not only did Rollins open and close Raw, but Stone Cold came out and put him over in a big way. I don't need Rollins to be put over by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, with this Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins situation, WWE has already announced that Braun Strowman is going to be challenging AJ Styles for the United States Championship on Monday Night Raw. Rollins has no factor in this whatsoever. This is AJ challenging Braun Strowman for what happened on Monday. AJ is willingly putting the title on the line against Braun Strowman. So this was previously talked about as well on The Observer. And Rollins and Strowman is penciled in for the main event of Clash of Champions on September 15th. But it was noted in the newsletter of the Wrestling Observer that Strowman could likely win the United States title on Monday. If that doesn't happen, to set up a U.S. champion versus Universal champion match at Clash of Champions, then the OC is likely to get involved and cause Seth Rollins' involvement that way. Braun Strowman really should win the title here, says Dave Meltzer, although they can always have him and have Styles down, Gallows and Anderson running for the DQ, and have Rollins save him to return the favor from the previous week. That's the more likely scenario because Ricochet was involved in that as well, and I can honestly see, why would you take the title off of Styles and put it on fucking Strowman when Ricochet is still clearly involved with the OC? I don't get it. I don't really... Hey, what is this shit with champions challenging challengers? Champions picking their own shots. I don't like that. Seriously. And if Braun Strowman wins the United States Championship here, then he goes on to challenge the Universal Champion at Clash of Champions. You're taking away the United States Championship from being defended against somebody who could be in that title hunt. I don't like that. I really don't get that. You're taking the U.S. title off of a show that could be defended against any one of the undercard guys and putting it in the main event. And it means nothing on Braun Strowman's shoulder. WWE is completely clueless. The only reason why Braun Strowman is in the position that he's in now is because he's a Paul Heyman guy. Paul Heyman loves Braun Strowman. Paul Heyman loves the bigger guys. So after all that they've done to damage Braun Strowman, I am to believe now he's going to be a U.S. champion or a Universal champion. The man has done nothing. He's done nothing to even warrant a title around his shoulder. Period. I hope to God that WWE gets what's coming to them. They deserve every bit of backlash when Strowman, a babyface, and an over one at that, for whatever reason, goes against their babyface champion, and that babyface champion gets booed. Seriously, it's the only way that they will learn. I hope this blows back in their face and it fucking fails. Because they already gave us a rematch of WrestleMania. They ruined Money in the Bank. They gave Money in the Bank to Brock Lesnar. They tried desperately to get Rollins over in whatever fucking story they were trying to tell. They actually did, and now they're going back and ready to shit all over it all over again. Instead of doing the right thing and finding an opponent and a challenger for this guy that we can believe in. The reason why his Intercontinental Championship reign was so good was because he was building it off of how great of a pro wrestler he is. Now you're trying to find heels and challenges for him, which you don't have, and your last resort is Braun Strowman because he's big, or because he's a Paul Heyman guy. And it's going to fucking backfire on you, and I hope it does. I really hope it does. We'll see on Monday if Braun Strowman can win the U.S. title, but I don't think that's going to happen. The OC is there. They're not going to allow AJ Styles to lose to this fucking clown. And Styles, more than likely, is going to return the favor to Braun Strowman and help him just like Strowman helped him on Monday this previous week. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much for all your support. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up. That thumbs up right there helps out the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below. Right down below, underneath the video, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 112,000 subscribers, man. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And make sure you guys go and check out all the other videos that you might have missed. Linked down below in the comments section. I'm going to pin it at the very top. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and SummerSlam. All the wrestling coverage you need right here on Off the Script. And make sure you guys check out Honey, man. Join honey.com/offthescript. Trusted by over 10 million members. Time Magazine says it's basically free money. Let them do the job for you and shop for the best deal possible on Honey. Join honey.com/offthescript, man. Thank you guys so very much, and I will see you right back here for part 2 on episode 287. Don't go anywhere, man. We got a lot of news on Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, Buddy Murphy, man. You're not going to believe the happenstance that Buddy Murphy happened to walk himself into, man. Thank you guys so very much. Have a great Friday, and I'll see you right back here on Saturday for Off the Script. I'll see you then.